welcome back to part 2 of Yoga for Surrender. You can come on down into devotional, resetting there, deepening your breath once again, letting go of any thoughts. Feeling your spine lengthen with each of your inhales, all the way down to the bottom of your belly, and letting go with each exhale, just a little deeper. And coming back to the idea of going with the flow or finding surrender. Instead of trying to reestablish our equilibrium from moment to moment, we may find that we can ride noise and silence, hot and cold, yes and no, and joy and sorrow, just as a ship in the ocean stays afloat by rolling with the waves. Instead of losing equilibrium and needing a course correction, we become nimble, curious, resilient. Our options expand. And as we learn to trust the practice of yoga, we learn to more fully trust ourselves. You can start to invite some movement, rocking your hips and your forehead side to side. And when you're ready on an inhale, we'll lift up to table. You could flow through a couple rounds of cat-cow. We'll meet in downward facing dog, however you choose to get there. Just taking a couple deep breaths in your down dog. You can pedal it out or shake your head yes and no. Heels can relax back toward the mat. On an inhale, we'll float the right leg to to three-legged dog. So inhaling the right leg high. We'll exhale knee to nose just one time. Inhaling leg high. Exhaling all the way through to low lunge, pinky toe by your thumb. And stacking that knee over your heel, back leg stays nice and strong, core is strong. We'll lift to a high lunge, relaxing your shoulders down, pulling that left hip forward, right hip back. A nice deep inhale, lifting up. On the exhale, we're going to come forward, hinging forward, airplane arms, squeezing your shoulder blades. On the inhale, we'll lift back up, exhaling forward, squeezing the shoulder blades, inhaling up, exhaling forward. This time we'll come all the way forward to warrior 3 on that right leg. Reaching out through the crown of your head, through that left heel, squeezing those shoulder blades. One more deep breath. Gently step that left foot back to high lunge, arms up overhead. You can take a deep breath here. On your exhale, fingertips are going to frame that front foot. We're going to come back onto the right leg for standing splits. So hips stay squared to your mat here. You could walk your hands out front, maybe lifting or floating one or both hands off the floor. Head and chest can lift up a little bit. Good. We'll step that lifted foot back to a low lunge. Hands plant into your mat. We'll step the right foot back to plank. We'll flow through a vinyasa. If you'd like to keep that right leg lifted, we can try a lifted chaturanga. Always an option to head straight to downward dog, skipping the chaturanga or the vinyasa. if you'd like. So finding any movements. And then on your next inhale, we'll float the left leg to three-legged dog. Exhale, shifting forward, knee to nose, crunching in. Inhaling, leg high. Exhaling through, low lunge. Setting yourself up, engaging your core, pulling belly button to spine. We'll inhale to lift to high lunge. So back leg is lifted, or back leg is strong, that heel is lifted. Front knee is stacked over your heel. Shoulders are relaxed down. Nice deep inhale, lifting. On the exhale, hinging forward, really pressing that front leg. We'll inhale to lift. Exhaling forward, squeezing the shoulder blades. Inhaling up nice and slow. This time exhaling forward, warrior three, airplane arms. Flexing those right toes, lifting out through that heel. Deep breaths down to the bottom of your belly. When you're ready, we'll carefully step the right foot back to high lunge, arms up overhead. And then on an exhale, fingertips sweep down to low lunge. We're going to come forward onto the left leg for standing splits. Right leg lifts, hips are still squared to the mat. Hands and arms can walk out front, chest can lift. Maybe floating one or both hands. Carefully stepping the right foot back to low lunge. And then we're going to sweep that left foot back to plank or keeping that leg lifted for a three-legged chaturanga. Lowering no lower than 90 on the exhale. 90 degrees at the elbows. And meeting in downward dog. You can pedal it out, finding any movements that are drawing you. And at the bottom of your next exhale, looking forward, we'll gently walk forward into forward fold. Knees could be soft. Any variation with your arms, maybe reaching for opposite elbows or interlacing fingers at the low back. Just surrendering, letting go, going with the flow, and letting your breath flow. One more deep breath here. We'll inhale to flat table or half table, flat back. Exhaling forward and softening your knees. We'll slowly curl up one vertebra at a time. Shoulders can shrug up and down your back. For this next flow, if you have a block at home, you can use that. If not, that's okay too. So if you have a block, you can put that at the top of your mat on its side. We'll come to mountain up at the top of your mat, Tadasana. So feet about hip distance apart. You can close your eyes for just a moment, reconnecting with your deep breaths. You might even rest a hand on the low belly or both hands, feeling it fill up like a balloon on your inhales and exhaling belly button to spine. On your next inhale, arms extend upward. We'll exhale, releasing forward into forward fold and making sure feet are hip distance apart. On your inhale, fingers are going to sweep along your mat as you lift up, hips sink back into chair pose, Utkatasana. Weight is in your heels. We'll bring hands to heart center here. Nice deep inhale, lengthening your spine. On your exhale, we'll prayer twist to your right. So hooking that left elbow around the right knee or thigh, shifting your weight into that right leg. We're going to lift the left leg up and carefully step it all the way back to a twisted high lunge. On your next inhale, core is strong. We'll bring arms overhead, lifting to high lunge. And then back foot's going to come flat to the mat for warrior one. Adjusting however you need to. And then we'll bring hands to the low back, interlacing your fingers. Knuckles reach down for the floor, opening your chest. On the exhale, we'll hinge forward for humble warrior. So you'll carefully come down to the inside of that front knee. Arms and hands can extend up overhead. Really pressing into that right foot and leg. One more deep breath here, folded forward. Hands can come in front, unlacing your fingers. You're going to bring that left hand to your block or to the mat. We're going to lift to a revolved triangle. So being mindful here of your hips and the low back. You might need to adjust that back leg a little bit, but right arm extends up toward the ceiling. Really pressing into that block with your left hand. One more breath here, pressing both feet. On the inhale to lift, we're going to bring that right arm along the right thigh, twisting open into extended side angle. So then that right arm or right elbow can rest on the right knee, left arm up overhead. One more deep breath. On the inhale, lifting to reverse warrior, back arm to back thigh or along the low back. One more deep breath, reaching behind you. We'll inhale back through to warrior two, and then turning to face the side of your mat. Feet come to parallel, wide-legged forward fold. On the inhale, opening up across your chest. And then we'll exhale, releasing into forward fold. Arms can come down, maybe reaching for your mat or a block. Maybe out for your ankles or heels. You could even find some side-to-side movement if that would feel good. We're just here for 2 more deep breaths. You're going to walk your hands back toward your front foot. We'll turn to a low lunge toward the top of your mat. We'll step that back or the front foot back to plank. And then we're going to come down to the mat. So knees can release down first, being mindful of your elbows and shoulders. Releasing down, tops of your feet press into the mat. We're going to bring arms down by the sides for locust pose. So when you're ready, on an inhale, core strengthens. You'll lift the chest and head. Really pressing into the tops of your feet, the tops of your thighs. Arms can extend out, reaching your fingertips back. Gaze stays down, so the back of your neck is long. And legs and feet are going to stay where they are, pressing into the mat for this variation. So thinking more about lifting out through the crown of your head, through your arms and fingertips, then lifting high. Just one more deep breath. As you exhale, slowly releasing down, hands can come back underneath your shoulders. We'll lift up through table and back to devotional. Just for a couple breaths as we counter stretch the low back. You could rock side to side. On your next inhale, lifting up through table, we'll curl the toes under from here, lifting the hips up and back into downward dog. Resetting and reconnecting with your breath, finding any movements that are drawing you. Just one more deep breath here. At the bottom of your exhale, looking forward, gently walk forward into forward fold. We'll inhale to half table. Belly's pulled in nice and tight. One more deep inhale, lengthening out through the crown of your head. And then as you exhale, releasing forward. We'll soften the knees and slowly twist or curl up one vertebra at a time. Shrugging your shoulders up and releasing them down the back. Good. Feet come to about hip distance apart again. If you have that block, bringing it back to the top of your mat. On an inhale, we'll lift up. Exhaling forward into forward fold. Feet are hip width apart. On the inhale, fingertips sweep along the mat, sending your hips back into chair. Weight comes into the heels, maybe peeking down, making sure you can see your toes. And then hands can come to the heart, pressing your palms. A deep inhale as you lengthen. On the exhale, we're going to twist to your left, prayer twist. Lifting your heart up toward your thumbs. Shifting your weight into the left leg, being mindful of that knee. We'll lift the right leg and extend it back to a high twisted lunge. On an inhale, core is strong. We'll lift all the way up. And then bringing the back foot flat to your mat for warrior one. You can adjust if you need to. You might bring your hands to your hips to ensure they're squared to the top of your mat. And then fingers can interlace at the low back. Inhaling here. We'll exhale, forward, humble warrior. Carefully coming down to the inside of that left knee. Arms and hands can reach overhead. One more deep breath here. And hands can start to come back underneath you. This time you'll bring the right palm to your block or to the floor or mat inside of your front foot. And that back leg can step in a little bit for revolve triangle. When you're ready, pressing into that right palm, left arm lifts high. Working to stack your shoulders. You could gaze down at the right fingers or maybe up at the left, wherever it feels good on the neck. One more breath. Good. Carefully bending that front knee. We'll bring the left arm along the left thigh, rotating over into extended side angle. You could reach down for your block here or rest the left arm on the left knee or thigh. Engaging your core, we'll inhale to reverse warrior. Feeling that side body stretch. Deep bend in the front knee. One more deep breath, reaching behind you. We'll inhale through to warrior two. A little different here. We're going to cartwheel the arms, pivoting on your back foot. You can move your block out of the way if it was there. We'll step that front foot back to plank. We'll hold plank for 2 full breaths this time. And then we'll come back down to the mat. So being mindful of your wrists and shoulders, carefully lowering down. We'll try a different variation of locust, a dynamic variation. So tops of your feet press into the mat about hip width apart. We'll bring arms overhead in a Y position. So chin or forehead to your mat for a moment here. Pulling belly button to spine to engage your core. And again, focusing more here on extending out than how high you're lifting. So when you're ready on an inhale, you'll lift the head and chest, and right arm and left leg lift. On the exhale, releasing down, again, forehead or chin to your mat, and we'll lift head, chest, left arm, right leg. Exhaling down. Inhaling to lift, pressing into that opposite arm and leg. And again, lifting more out through the fingertips and toes than up. We'll do a few on each side with your own breath, at your own pace. Gaze stays down, being mindful of the back of your neck. And when you've had enough, when your sides feel even, hands can come back under your shoulders. We'll lift through table, back to devotional, to counter stretch the low back. Surrendering to the breath. One more full round of breath. And inhaling to press up through tabletop. We're going to meet again in downward facing dog. So you can either curl your toes under from table or step back to plank and then lift from there. And 3 times, we're going to lift up to the balls of the feet or the toes in down dog on your inhale. So when you're ready, inhaling to lift the heels, exhaling heels back to your mat. Again, inhaling to lift the heels, exhaling heels back. One more time. Good. One more full breath. And at the bottom of your exhale, look forward, walk or jump to the top of your mat. Inhaling up to half table. Exhale, releasing forward, and soften your knees. We'll slowly curl up. One vertebra at a time. Shrugging your shoulders up and down your back. And then coming back to feet about hip distance apart, top of your mat. We're going to lift the right leg to Ekapada on an inhale. So lifting the right leg, flexing the right toes, shoulders relax down. And we'll cross the top leg over the bottom leg for eagle, either using the right toes as a kickstand or wrapping. Arms out to a T on your inhale and crossing in front, left arm on top. So elbows lift, palms press away from your head. You might sink down into that left leg, almost like you're in chair pose. Spine stays nice and long, squeezing everything in. You got this. One more deep breath. We're going to unwind behind the legs, staying with eagle arms, and you'll extend the right leg out behind you for a warrior 3 variation. Elbows and arms can hug into the chest, reaching out through that right heel. Core engages. We're going to inhale to lift up, lifting that right leg to Ekapada, and then we'll cross the right leg in on top of the left. You can release your arms down by your sides. We'll inhale, lengthening up, lifting up, and exhaling to fold forward with crossed legs. Breathing along the backs of both of your legs. Fingertips can come to your mat. We're going to soften the knees, and you'll slowly uncross your legs, bringing your feet back to about hip width apart. And from here, fingertips on your mat, we're going to step the left foot back to a low lunge. Hands are going to come to the inside of that front foot, and then you'll heel toe the right foot out to the edge of your mat for lizard lunge. So you have several options here. You want the right toes off the edge of your mat, the heel on your mat. And maybe you stay here with that back knee lifted. You could always release the back knee down to your mat. You might even try coming down onto the knife edge of that right front foot, allowing that right knee to fall open to the side. And you could lower down to forearms, maybe bringing forearms to a block if you have one. Or you might try a couple variations. We're here for several breaths. So you'll soften where